Good morning. In today's class, let's discuss about cosmid vectors. In the past previous classes, we have been discussing about different types of vectors which are used for DNA cloning. We discussed about plasmid vectors and bacteriophage vectors. When we have such vectors available, what is the necessity for these cosmid vectors? The main problem is the capacity of these vectors. When you have to clone the larger DNA fragments, the relatively small capacity of this plasmid or bacteriophage vectors may not be good enough. So in order to accommodate the larger fragments, people were looking for better versions of the vectors. That's how these cosmid vectors had been developed. So in this class, let's see what are these cosmid vectors, what are the properties, and how these cosmid vectors are used for DNA cloning. Yeah, as I mentioned, the very purpose of these cosmid vectors are for cloning large DNA fragments. When we have to do the analysis of genome organization and identification of genes, especially in case of organisms with larger genome size, it becomes difficult to use the smaller vectors like your plasmid or bacteriophage vectors. Because of the relatively smaller capacity of these vectors, cloning larger DNA fragments becomes difficult. And if you use these smaller vectors like plasmid or bacteriophage vectors, you may have to develop the huge number of clones to represent the entire genome as a DNA library. In the later units of the syllabus, we will be discussing what are the DNA libraries, what are different types of libraries, how do we construct the libraries, all those details. So the genome of the entire genome of one particular organism is represented in the form of library, that is nothing but collection of the genes of one particular organism. So when you have to develop these DNA libraries, if you use the vectors that are having the smaller capacity, then you may have to construct enormous number of clones in order to represent that genome as a library. See, as the number of clones are increasing, the labor increase, that means the whole process becomes cumbersome. So that is another reason people started looking for the vectors that can accommodate larger fragments of DNA. Excuse me, actually there is a lot of disturbance. All of you need to mute your mics. There is a lot of disturbance, noise here. Make sure all of you mute your mics. Yeah. And in addition to this smaller capacity of these vectors, in case of eukaryotic genes, you all know eukaryotic genes are comparatively large in size. Why? Because in addition to the coding sequences, there are also introns present in case of the eukaryotic genes. So when the eukaryotic gene size is large, if the vectors whatever you have selected for cloning like your plasmid or bacteriophage vectors, if they are not able to accommodate the eukaryotic gene size, then it would be difficult to accommodate the entire gene as one single clone. So that is another reason when you have to clone the eukaryotic genes whose size is comparatively larger, the smaller capacity of these plasmid or bacteriophage vectors may not be sufficient. So these are all the issues why people started looking for the vectors that can accommodate larger DNA fragments. So that is the reason the vectors with larger size capacity have been developed to overcome all these issues whichever we have mentioned earlier. And in addition to that, the sophisticated gel electrophoresis techniques like, PFGE. What is this PFGE? Pulse field gel electrophoresis technique, based on the availability. I mean, because this kind of sophisticated agrogel electrophoresis technique has become available, it has become possible to separate and map the very large DNA fragments. Okay, the vectors are available that can accommodate the large fragments of DNA, but how do you separate or purify these larger fragments of DNA? With the conventional agarose gel electrophoresis, it is difficult to isolate the or purify the larger fragments of DNA. That has become possible with the advancement of the agarose gel electrophoresis technique like pulse field gel electrophoresis. We were able to separate and purify the larger DNA fragments. The molecules up to 7 MB have been achieved. That means the molecules up to 7 MB have been isolated and purified using this technique, and nowadays it becomes possible to resolve the whole chromosome DNA fragments including the artificial chromosomes. I hope you are able to follow the point. The purpose of developing these cosmid vectors are to accommodate the larger fragments of DNA, especially which is required when you are trying to clone the larger genes like your eukaryotic genes. And with the availability of technique like pulse field gel electrophoresis, now we are able to separate and isolate the larger DNA fragments. Now let's look at the properties of these cosmid vectors. Why these are called cosmid vectors? These are called cosmid vectors because they utilize the properties of these Faj cos sites. I hope you all remember when we discussed about lambda replacement vectors, the cos sites are present at the ends of the Faj lambda DNA. So these cosmid vectors, they utilize the properties of these Faj cos sites in a plasmid molecule. So truly it is a plasmid molecule, but it utilizes the properties of cos sites which are present in the bacteriophages. Since it utilizes the properties of cos sites and since it is a true plasmid vector, these are given the name cosmid vectors. And you should be able to recollect the properties of these bacteriophage vectors. While in vitro packaging of DNA into phage particles, it requires the presence of these cos sites, and these cos sites should have been spaced by the correct distance, and the distance between these cos sites should have been 37 to 52 kb on a linear DNA. So having the cos sites at both the ends of linear DNA, if they are correctly apart to the right distance, then packaging of the virus particle can take place, and the intervening, that means the in between DNA sequence could be anything. It need not be any Faj genes at all. So these are the properties based on which these cos vectors have been developed. So if you look at the simplest cosmid vector, it is a normal small plasmid. So whatever the properties that are present on plasmid vector, all those properties are present on this cosmid vector. So what are the properties of these plasmid vectors? It should contain origin of replication and a selectable marker for the selection, and it should also contain a cos site and then a suitable restriction site for cloning. Obviously, for cloning to carry out, it should have a suitable restriction site also. So these are all the sequences that supposed to be present on a cosmid vector. So when such properties or sequences are present on a cosmid vector, after you cleave the vector with the suitable restriction enzyme, then allow the ligation reaction to take place with the target DNA fragment. What will happen, because there is cos site present, the DNA is packaged into virus particle. After the packaging, when you allow the infection to take place, the DNA gets recircularized by annealing of the cos sites of the infection. Then once it gets recircularized in the host organism, it propagates as a normal plasmid under the selection by ampicillin. So let us see the pictorial representation here to make it clearer. As I was mentioning, a cosmid vector is a plasmid vector with all its properties. Only thing is cos sites are present. So what are the properties of a plasmid vector? As I mentioned in the previous slide, there should be origin of replication and selection marker. So here ampicillin resistant selection marker is present, a site for the restriction digestion. So here the site present is BAM H1 and cos site is present. So since BAM-H1 site is there, when you digest with the BAM-H1, BAM-H1, and then you also allow the ligation reaction to take place with the appropriate insert, what will happen? That gets inserted and cos sites are present at the ends. And then when you allow the packaging reaction to take place by providing the packaging extract, it gets packaged into virus particle. And when you allow this virus particle to infect the host organism, after the DNA enters into the host organism, what will happen? Because of the cos sites present here, the circularization of the vector takes place. Of course, the insert has been incorporated here. So this is the cosmid clone, and of course it can be selected based on the ampicillin resistance. So that's how the cloning is done with a simple cosmid vectors. But in the real cloning situation, there are certain problems people generally overcome. These are the general problems in case of cloning using any sort of vector. What are those problems? The self ligation of the target, or the recircularization of the vector without the incorporation of the target DNA. These are the general issues that are faced during the cloning situation. In order to overcome such issues during the cloning, few more properties had been incorporated in these cosmid vectors. So let's see what are those extra or additional features that are incorporated in the cloning vector. So whatever the features to be present on a simple cosmid vector, that I had discussed in the previous slide. What I'm saying is, but in real cloning situation, more sophisticated methods are used in order to make sure that multiple copies of the vector, that means without the incorporation of the target DNA, two vector molecules can get ligated, or the target DNA multiple copies may be incorporated within the vector. That means multiple copies of the vector or the target DNA are not included in the formation of recombinant. In order to make sure these things do not happen during the cloning, sophisticated cosmid vectors had been developed. In addition to the basic features, few more features had been added to the cosmid vectors. One such example of cosmid vector is C2XB. So in this example of cosmid vector, it contains two cos sites. In the basic cosmid vector, as I discussed in the previous slide, there is only one cos site present. But here it contains two cos sites, and between these two cos sites, there is a site for blunt cutting restriction enzyme like your SMA1. So please pay your attention. Here I am talking about more sophisticated cosmid vectors. Why these more sophisticated cosmid vectors are developed? In order to avoid the formation of multiple copies of the vector or the target DNA in the recombinant. Some additional features are added in the cosmid vectors. One such sophisticated cosmid vector where additional features are added is C2XB. So what are the additional features? Instead of one cos site, there are two cos sites incorporated here, and between these two cos sites there is a site for blunt cutting restriction enzyme like your SMA1 between these two cos sites. And then when you carry out the cleavage with the restriction enzyme BAM-H1 and SMA1, because there is also site for SMA1, when you carry out the cleavage with BAM-H1 and SMA1, it is two cos ends. So these two cos ends which are produced, they can be allowed to ligate with the target DNA, and the target DNA also would have been treated with alkaline phosphatase. You all know why we treat the target DNA with alkaline phosphatase, that is to prevent self ligation. And the blunt ends, the two fragments which are produced from this cosmid vector should have been the blunt ends, because the SMA1 produces the blunt ends. The blunt ends are only capable of ligating inefficiently. We have been discussing from the beginning, the blunt end ligation is very, very inefficient process under the conditions used. So since the vector ends are blunt ended fragments, without the incorporation of the target DNA, the ligation of these blunt ended vectors, the possibility is very, very less, because the ligation of the blunt-ended fragments is an inefficient process. That's the reason why SMA1 had been, the site for SMA1 enzyme had been incorporated between the two COS sites. So in that case, the only products which can be packaged are those recombinants with the insert size in the range of 30 to 45 kb. So only the recombinants with the appropriate insert size only will be packaged into virus particle. So with all these useful properties, for number of years, the entire E. coli genome has been available as a set of around 100 cosmid clones. So for several years, many organisms, they had been maintained in the form of cosmid clones because of the advantage of all these properties of cosmid vectors. So let's look at the schematic diagram how these cosmid clones are used. So as I mentioned, the advanced cosmid clone, the example is C2XB. The properties present here are origin of replication, selection marker, BAM-H1 is present, and as I mentioned, the additional properties are instead of one COS site, two COS sites are present here, and in between these two COS sites, there is a site for blunt cutting restriction enzyme like SMA1. So when you allow the cleavage to take place with BAM-H1 and SMA1, both the enzymes, it produces the two fragments of the vector with blunt ends. So when blunt-ended fragments of the vector are produced, the general side reaction of the ligation without the incorporation of the insert DNA, they may get ligated, which is unwanted reaction. Since we are producing the SMA1 site here, we are cleaving the vector with the SMA1, the blunt-ended fragments are produced. The possibility of ligating these blunt-ended fragments without the incorporation of the target DNA becomes very, very less, because the ligation of blunt-ended fragments is very, very inefficient process. That's the reason this blunt-end restriction site is provided between the two COS sites. So when you allow the ligation to take place with the BAM-H1 digested insert, and that insert also could have been treated with alkaline phosphatase, that the treatment with alkaline phosphatase is to avoid the self-ligation of the target molecules. Then in that case, with the reaction conditions provided, the possible product that would be formed will be the two fragments of the vector between which the appropriate size of the insert is incorporated. When such recombinants are formed, they will be packaged into virus particle in presence of the packaging vector. In the presence of packaging extract. Then when you allow the infection to take place, they get ligated into the circularized vector with the insert in the appropriate position. So these cosmid clones, they would be able to propagate as a plasmids, because all other properties for the propagation of plasmid are available, and they could be selected under the ampicillin selection. So this is how the cloning is carried out using the cosmid vectors. This is all I wanted to discuss in today's class. So what did we discuss? The cosmid vectors properties. Cosmid vectors had been developed in order to clone the larger DNA fragments. Especially you want to analyze the genes and genomes of organisms containing the larger genome size, like your eukaryotes. The smaller capacity of plasmid and bacteriophage vectors becomes problematic. That's the reason these cosmid vectors had been developed to accommodate the larger fragments of DNA. These are called cosmid vectors because they utilize the COS sites of the phages, and they also have all the properties of the plasmids. That is why these are called cosmid vectors. Because of the availability of techniques like pulse field gel electrophoresis, we are able to isolate the larger DNA fragments up to 7 MB. If you look at the properties, all the features of plasmid vectors are available. In addition, they also contain the COS sites. So if you cleave the vector with the appropriate restriction enzyme and allow the ligation to take place, it produces the appropriate size of the linear DNA. It can be packaged into a phage particle, and then when it infects the suitable host organism, it would be able to circularize and then propagate as a plasmid. But in order to overcome the general problems that are encountered during the cloning procedure, sophisticated cosmid vectors had been developed by providing few more additional features, like instead of one cos site, two cos sites are provided in between one site for blunt cutting restriction enzyme, so that two fragments of the vector are provided, and the possibility of these vector fragments ligation without the target DNA incorporation is less, because the fragments produced are blunt ended fragments. So the only high possibility of the formation of recombinant products are these recombinant products with the two ends of the vector with the appropriate size insert incorporated between them. Then that can be packaged into virus particle and allowed to infect the host organism, where it can be propagated as a plasmid vector. Cosmid vector, several times it has been asked for 5 marks in the university exams. But I told you, like, many times essay question can be asked for explain the properties of different bacteriophage vectors. So there also you can give this one as one of the phage based vector. So that's how the questions will be asked. The references are again the same references, Holden Primrose and Molecular Biology by Turner. Thank you very much for your time.